This is a City AM Studios production.
Hello and welcome back to Business As Usual, brought to you by Okta, with me, Martin Kimber.
And me, Matt Kenyon. Coming up, the investment manager Rathbones has had to suspend thousands of high net worth accounts, possibly losing them hundreds of millions of pounds in time after an FCA probe.
As a peace deal with Iran looks near, we'll hear from Sky News' economics editor Ed Conway about the importance of supply chains and where our stuff actually comes from.
And Revolut is forced to cough up for sending too many push notifications.
Ding.
We have got some big city stories coming up today, and luckily to get stuck in, we have our trusty squire of the Square Mile, Mr. Simon Hunt.
Howdy.
Welcome back once again.
First up, Simon, it's been a tough week for Rathbones. How has the investment firm fallen on the wrong side of the regulators?
Yeah, huge trouble for Rathbone at the moment. Their shares tumbled 15% yesterday.
Would we call that a crater?
I think that's a full crater. Yeah. They revealed that after discussions with the FCA, they have now suspended inflows for thousands of their account holders. So these account holders are by far the most valuable group of customers that Rathbones has. They said yesterday that together these several thousand accounts contribute more than $500 million to their net inflows. And that is all net inflows that's now been suspended. So all these customers cannot add any more to their accounts.
And it looks like, this is a 2-year remediation program by the
Yes.
looks of it in response to this FCA probe. I suppose, what can they do in the meantime?
Well, I mean, the good news is that the vast majority of their account holders aren't affected, so they will continue business as usual.
It's just
as it were.
onboarding new ones.
It's onboarding new ones,
it.
and these special accounts that contribute a lot of their inflows. They're sort of banned effectively for at least a year from adding any more to their accounts. And there is a danger there that these customers will just say, okay, well, I'll go somewhere else then, and shut their accounts down and set one up with a rival.
Do they have a lot of rivals to pick from?
They certainly do. I mean, wealth management is a big part of what the city does now. There are several London-listed wealth managers, asset managers, and so I suspect, when you look at some of those higher net worth customers, the ones that are the most valuable, the ones that a lot of wealth managers are really going after at the moment, these customers who have had issues with their accounts where they can't contribute anymore, I would imagine those wealth managers are now knocking on their door saying, hey guys, you want to come over to us?
It feels like a very long time ago that if I had £500 million lying around, I would just go straight to Coots, and that would be my sort of only kind of avenue. But now it seems like everyone and their mum in the city is out for these sorts of high net worth individuals. Yeah,
and actually Coots has now upped the bar for the minimum contribution you have to make into your account before you can sign up.
So close.
From what was it, 1 million to 3 million now, I think it is.
Yeah.
So people within that bracket are also up for grabs from the other wealth managers.
I mean, there are even fintech banks now which are trying to have wealth offerings. I know that Revolut is at the moment.
Yeah.
I have to say, just completely anecdotally, I walked past the Coots office the other day. Not as grand as I thought it might be.
I think the interior is nicer than the exterior.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
It is.
Another thing. So, Simon, you've got a story about a company, well, two companies, making a lot of dough. And by dough, I, of course, mean actual bread. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, you're quite right that they are making bread, not very much dough, because the bread industry is a very low-margin business. It's not something from which you can build a massive billion-pound industry these days. And so the owner of Kingsmill, a company called Associated British Foods, or ABF, have agreed to buy Hovis in a £75 million deal, which yesterday was cleared by the competition regulator, despite the fact that this would combine the two firms into what would be the UK's largest bread maker by a country mile.
Well, yeah, so the CMA have assured the public that this would not lead to any competition problems. What do you think pushed it over the edge? Because it does seem like they are going to have a huge segment of the bread pie.
A big slice.
A big slice.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
very
It
good.
was right there for the taking.
Yeah, I just didn't take it.
Yeah. Well, I think it is precisely that, because bread is such a low-margin business. The chances that this is going to be something that will massively warp the market is quite slim. In essence, the margins are so low, and a lot of these bread companies are loss-making, that I guess the CMA thought there's a reasonable chance these companies will not survive if the merger isn't allowed to go through. And indeed, ABF did suggest that they might just scrap some of their bread-making businesses if this merger weren't approved.
When I read Britain's biggest bread maker in the script earlier, I genuinely thought the thing that my mum had in the kitchen was like someone's actually built the world's biggest bread maker.
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
lives in
wait,
the Kingsmill
no.
factory.
No. Simon, one last thing. Why is a billionaire founder stepping away from his own firm?
Well, this is Mark Dixon, the billionaire chief executive who founded IWG, which used to be known as Regis, the office workspace company. He's decided to throw in the towel after running the business for nearly 4 decades. Wow. He is comfortably one of the longest-serving board members of the FTSE. Founded the business in the late 80s, floated it on the London Stock Exchange in the year 2000 and has been running it since then. But he's decided it's time for him to step away to hand over to the next generation. So he's appointed a new chief executive and he's going to become chairman.
So putting my cynical hat on, how have the company been doing in the year or so leading up to him stepping down?
It's been a pretty rocky ride for IWG. I mean, it has been for decades, bluntly. I mean, if you go back 20 years, their US arm was put into special administration, bankruptcy protection, as it's known over there. And particularly in the years following COVID, it's been a real struggle because, if you own a lot of office space in the city, it was basically a ghost town for, getting on for a year. And they were just hemorrhaging cash as a result. They've pivoted their strategy somewhat the past couple of years where they are opening more sites in more suburban parts of London, in smaller towns and cities where people have decided it's not worth commuting into London 5 days a week anymore, so they just work from somewhere locally. And that has helped them somewhat, but I think there is a realization that it needs someone, needs a fresh blood, a new pair of hands to really galvanise this strategy.
It might be quite a lucky general taking over because, I've definitely heard it from quite a few people in the city, including the people behind the new Fenchurch Street skyscraper, that actually demand has gone way back up.
Yeah.
And that sort of zone 1 premium real estate is very much lucrative again, but as well as those more suburban sites. So it might be that they are now seeing a more favourable market heading into the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the era of... there was talk 2 or 3 years ago about the idea of companies that would just be wholly remote or companies that didn't have any offices at all. I think those ideas are kind of in the past now and people realise actually you do need a physical place to interact. And so the office is very much coming back.
Right. Simon, thank you very much. I'm sure we'll have you back on the programme very soon. So coming up after the break, Revolut are going to have to shell out for sending too many push notifications. But the penalty fee might surprise you. Don't go anywhere because we're going to tell you how much it is. This episode is brought to you by Okta. AI agents are everywhere now, quietly making decisions across organisations. That's great until you stop and think, who's in charge?
If you don't know who an agent is, what it's connected to, or what it's allowed to do, you can't really trust it to act in your interests. That's the bit Okta focuses on. They secure the identity of AI agents, so there's one clear layer of control across the whole system.
Which means every agent has a clear identity, permissions, and a line of accountability, even as things scale.
Risk becomes something you manage, not guess at. Secure every agent, secure any agent. Okta secures AI.
We all get hundreds of pings on our phone each and every day, but one man, who happened to be a Revolut customer, took the digital bank to task over waking him up with a torrent of push notifications. He has made his case to the Financial Ombudsman, demanding compensation. And our senior city reporter, Sam Norman, joins us to describe exactly what happened next. Welcome, Sam. What happened next?
I mean, you cover some big banking sagas, and this is one that I think is really going to stick with you. There's been motor finance, there's been PPI, but this is quite a dramatic one. So the FOS is an ever-interesting presence for us covering the banking beat. The FOS, that is the Financial Ombudsman Service.
Right, come on, let's get out of inside baseball, mate, Sam.
So it's a very interesting body, and they actually publish all their decisions that they make on cases that are referred. Now, as you just said, he's down as Mr. A in the document. Mr. A had complained...
Goodbye, Mr. A.
I was about to say the exact same thing.
That Revolut had sent 2 marketing notifications at 2 separate points in the early hours of the morning that had woken him up.
Only 2?
Only 2?
Oh, in my head it's
Yeah.
5 or 6.
Well,
Interesting.
that's 2 according to.
Have you never heard of
the
like
Foz decision.
there's a button here that if you press it, it makes your phone go on silent?
No,
Like-
there is a level of this where he does go on to say that it brought him stress because he had a family member at the time who was unwell. So he was worried that he was getting this notification, it was going to relate
Sure,
to them.
so he sort of needed to be alert
Exactly.
because
So he
news
needs to
could come
alert.
through.
But
yeah.
then, so he filed a complaint. Revolut apologised and told him of ways he can opt out. Obviously, these sort of bodies, they're not regulated to only send notifications in certain times. So Revolut sent a £25 payment as a, I guess, courtesy sort of, we're sorry, but there's not much we can do. Here's how you can adjust your notifications. Revolut sent it to the wrong account, though. So Revolut sent it to his business account and not his personal. Now, Mr. A, according to the FOS document, was not happy with the amount, nor with the fact it went to the business account and not the personal account. So he escalated this higher beyond the FOS investigator, which is like your lower tier FOS cases, to the ombudsman, which is the highest level a FOS case can go to. And they have since ruled that the amount was sufficient. However, Revolut has been ordered to correct the payment and repay it to the personal account of the customer.
Can I ask a horrendously boring question?
Of course.
So with the FOS, the ombudsman, how much power do they have to mandate that a company, the bank, has to hand over the money? Is it like a recommendation? Do they act more like almost like a regulator?
So
what are the powers involved?
This is actually an interesting time for it and these sort of cases with the FOS because it's faced a lot of backlash from the industry for actually even government ministers. We've seen previous city ministers refer to the FOS as a quasi-regulator that's gone beyond its remit. It's really just there to solve these sort of lower level cases, but there has been sort of
So
criticism.
it's almost like a sort of tribunal court that goes beneath
but it's faced a lot of backlash from the industry as acting more of like a rule maker. Now it's meant to interpret the law and interpret the regulations, but it's faced with industry backlash for sort of setting out its
sort
own
of like
agenda.
an activist judge within.
It's a weird time for that, and I don't know what the past history of this is. But when it got escalated to the highest level, they were then the FOS then had to review the law from scratch in terms of how to do this. They did find there was no issue with the timings of the push notifications.
Well, yeah. I mean, I get all sorts of nonsense junk notifications all the time, and
I just quite like to feel my phone buzzing.
yeah, it makes you feel popular.
feel
Like,
popular.
oh, someone was. But is it a massive pain in the butt for Revolut to move this 25 quid out of the business account into the personal one?
See, I think this is the less significant part. The Revolut, the payment of £25 is not fair, and then repaying. I think the bigger case here is with these sort of FOS cases, it's something we've seen over the last couple of years. The amount of admin that goes in for some of these banks it's quite outrageous. There's been a lot of reforms to the FOS in the last couple of years because of industry backlash. Actually, we saw last year as an FOI I actually made to find out how much the industry was paying in admin fees. I think Lloyd's was paying somewhere near, I think it was north of 10 million a year, and that's just the administration fees to handle a complaint. I mean, the big five, so that's Lloyd's, NatWest, Nationwide, Barclays, and HSBC, they're paying millions every year in just admin fees.
Well, I am crying into my Diet Coke for the banks.
There's just one more thing I want to ask you about, because this is all sort of wrapped up in your column, which is out today. You've written a bit about the ideal customer for a bank, and that it might not be us in this room necessarily. Can you talk us through who is the ideal customer for a bank?
Any yachts I don't know about?
How do you think I got here this morning?
Well, of course. The Uber boat does not count for the yacht.
Yeah, that's a shared yacht, a municipal yacht.
So we are approaching this new sort of climate with interest rates coming down. Banks cannot be reliant on interest rates for this steady stream of income anymore. So we're seeing them turn to fee revenue. Now, when you're talking about fee revenue, that's management percentages, that's structured advice, that's elite subscriptions. These are the sort of things that are rolled into a premium customer's package. Now, if you can lock down a couple of hundreds of these premium customers, that's consistent fee revenue that's stable, consistently coming in, recurring, and it's not reliant or switching up with the volatility of the interest rate environment.
Are these the kinds of people that Simon was just talking about?
So yes, it's an interesting time actually with what we've happened with Rathbones today and all these banks moving into the wealth management area. You can bet for sure HSBC, who've just launched their £5 million ultra wealth office in London, are going to want to be looking at some of these Rathbones customers and potentially tempting them and being like, oh, if you're frustrated with your wealth manager, come look at us, come look at our £5 million office we've got in the centre of London.
Am
Maybe
I
we
right
can
in
be for
remembering
you.
that you visited their office, the ultra high net worth?
Yeah, so
what was it like?
We took a trip down. It was actually Simon who went, but it was it's a very exclusive, very red carpet sort of treatment. I know they have
That's how Simon got in.
Exactly. Clearly, I wasn't exclusive enough. That they actually have an open event space on one of their floors, which is just used for like private functions. The whole thing is now that they're going above and beyond to sort of woo these wealthy clients, and that's with these sort of exclusive sort of treatments.
So I'm sure we'll have you back very soon to talk about the latest in the banking sector. Thank you very much.
And finally, as the US and Iran look set to reopen one of the world's most important shipping lanes, the Strait of Hormuz, we spoke to Ed Conway about the new podcast Stuff Matters, in which he goes into detail about where our stuff actually comes from. We chatted about everything from LEDs to Sky News' business strategy, if that interests you. But I thought it was important to ask whether he thinks politicians ought to be better informed about those supply chains and how the world works.
Yeah, well, I mean, a good example is rare earth metals. And, you know, people talk these days about rare earths, mostly without entirely understanding what they are, dare I say, including some people at the top of the White House. But these things are really important, a set of 17 elements, really important, without which you can't make the motors in many of the most advanced electric cars. You can't make wind turbines work. You can't make the advanced alloys you need that go into turbines. You can't make, the steel and the various other components you need just to make the world work. And you can't make AirPods. And, you know, in one of our episodes, we look at AirPods and we ask that question, you know, how did rare earths become such a big deal? How did they become ubiquitous? Without us even knowing? The main thing stopping us from getting rare earths in, like, you know, in the United States or in Europe isn't that there's a lack of rare earths in the ground. You dig up, you know, grab a chunk of earth out of the ground in your garden or in the park nearby you, there will be some rare earths in there. Maybe not many, but the challenge is not the availability of the stuff. The challenge is our willingness to do the refining, to take those ores and turn them into actual metals that we can use. And what does that come back to? Well, it comes back to, you know, the backstory of rare earths. And the backstory of rare earths is that these things, in order to actually refine them, so this goes back to the Manhattan Project, where the atomic bomb was basically invented. When they were doing that, they were trying to get the uranium. At the same time, they were trying to separate the uranium from all these rare earths. And that is where they worked out how to refine rare earths. That's the backstory. But the flip side of that is, if you're making rare earths, it involves the production of quite a lot of radioactive waste. And also quite a lot of it's just dirty in other respects as well. And we just decided over time that we would much rather not have this radioactive waste, you know, in our backyard, and we're very happy for the Chinese to have it in their backyard instead. So these are kind of policy decisions that have happened over time, the result of which, you know, fast forward to where we are now, and rare earths are at the absolute heart of the trade war between America and China. And it was part of the explanation for why the US basically stepped back from those highest tariffs on China last year.
And you can listen to the rest of that interview on the City AM YouTube channel. I recommend you give that a listen. It's a really high quality podcast. Sky have put a lot of effort into that, unlike, you know, this one.
Are they gonna give us a shout out on theirs?
I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Shucks.
I'll WhatsApp the PR and see. Anyway, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for listening to Business as Usual, brought to you by Opta.
Don't forget to subscribe to City AM's daily and weekly newsletters, and of course, don't forget to download our free app.
It has had puzzles for a while now, and I'm getting better at them again, so that's good. We'll be back in your podcast feeds tomorrow at 6 a.m, but for now, goodbye.
Goodbye.